I've been working in the same office for almost 5 years. It's not a special job, just administrative work, fixed hours, the same routine every day. Nothing exciting. Until a few months ago. That's when it started with my new coworker, Thomas. He was introduced as someone with a lot of experience, but he was noticeably quiet. He smiled often, but didn't say much. At first, I just thought he was shy, until he started saying things he couldn't possibly know. The first time, it seemed like a coincidence. I was having lunch with two co-workers, talking about a vacation I'd taken years ago, something I'd never posted on social media or mentioned at work. Suddenly, Thomas, sitting a few tables away, said, "Wasn't that the trip where you almost lost your passport in the hotel?" I laughed awkwardly and said, yeah. How'd you know that?" He just shrugged. "Just a guess." But it didn't feel like a guess. I tried to forget about it, but then it happened again. And again. A week later, a co-worker asked me how my mother was doing. She'd recently been sick, but almost no one at the office knew. Before I could answer, Thomas said, "She's just got out of the hospital, right? I think she's doing better." I looked straight at him. "Seriously, how do you know that?" He smiled again. The same calm, almost empty smile. "I just listened carefully," he said. But that was impossible. I'd only talked about it at home. From that moment on, it really started to bother me. I began observing him. He worked normally, made no mistakes, barely talked. But sometimes, he would just sit there, staring at his screen without doing anything. For minutes, as if he was somewhere else. And every now and then, he would look at me. Not in a normal way, but like he was trying to read me. Then, the strangest thing happened. I had a dream, a very specific dream, where I was back in my old school, in an empty hallway. Everything was dark, and I could hear footsteps behind me. But every time I turned around, no one was there. The next day at work, I was still thinking about that dream when Thomas suddenly said, "That hallway looked pretty scary, didn't it?" My heart skipped a beat. I said, "What are you talking about?" He looked at me like I was stupid. "That dream, the one with the hallway, and the footsteps." I felt goosebumps spread across my entire body. "This isn't funny," I said. "Seriously, how do you know that?" He didn't answer right away. He just kept staring at me, and then calmly said, "Because you're still there." That made no sense. I got angry and walked away, but I couldn't focus for the rest of the day. This had gone too far. This wasn't a coincidence anymore. That evening, I decided to test him. At home, I wrote something down on a piece of paper, something completely random. Blue door, 2347, key under the plant. I folded the paper and put it in my bag. I didn't tell anyone. The next day at work, I acted as normal as possible. I didn't say anything to Thomas. I barely even looked at him. Around midday, he stood up, walked past my desk and whispered, "You shouldn't use that key." I froze. I took the paper out of my bag. It was still folded, exactly how I had left it. I felt sick. After work, I went straight home. I couldn't ignore it anymore. This wasn't normal. This wasn't logical. I started searching online for explanations, everything from coincidence to other things. Nothing felt convincing. The next day, I decided to confront him directly. I waited until we were alone and said, "Listen, this needs to stop. Whatever you're doing, it's not funny. How do you know these things?" He looked at me for a long time, serious this time, no smile. Then he said, "You're asking the wrong question." My heart started racing. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward slightly and said softly, "The question isn't how I know, it's why you forget." I didn't understand anything. "Forget what?" I asked. He didn't say anything else. He just sat back down and continued working like nothing had happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. And sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. Not because of a sound, but because of a feeling. Like someone was standing in my room. I looked at the doorway, and there was someone. In the darkness, I couldn't see the face clearly, but I knew immediately who it was. Thomas. I tried to say something, but I couldn't move. No sound, no movement, nothing. He slowly stepped closer and whispered, "See? You forget every time." And then everything went black. The next morning, I woke up in my bed, alone. No sign of anyone else. I didn't go to work that day. Later, I got a message from a coworker. "Hey, quick question. Who's Thomas? He's not in the system." I never replied, and I never went back.